I'm a big believer that the longest relationship you will have in your life is with your favorite team. If I can make a 6 or a 7-year-old a fan of the NBA or of basketball, ultimately the goal is of the Magic, well, then I have a fan for life. The second thing is we're open for business, right? So I think we're absolutely looking at ways to partner with brands here.
Grüß dich und herzlich willkommen zu Folge 486 des Sportsmaniac Podcast. Mein Name ist Daniel Sprügel und heute habe ich zum einen unseren Stammgast Markus Höfel am Start sowie Michael Fordy, Chief Sales Officer bei den Orlando Magic. Wir haben uns auf dem Spobis in Hamburg getroffen und dort über die Pläne der Orlando Magic hier in Deutschland gesprochen, über die, in Anführungsstrichen, Business Decision, die beiden deutschen Weltmeister Franz und Moritz Wagner ins Team zu holen, wie Orlando Magic Business in Deutschland machen kann und über ein mögliches NBA-Spiel in Deutschland. Wenn euch die Folge gefallen hat, dann vergesst nicht, den Podcast hier zu abonnieren. Und wenn ihr euch noch mehr Gäste aus dem internationalen Sportbusiness wünscht, dann schickt mir gerne eure Vorschläge oder schreibt gerne einen Kommentar bei Spotify oder LinkedIn. Und jetzt direkt rein ins Gespräch mit Markus und Michael hier in Folge 486 des Sports Maniac Podcast.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. Thanks for having me.
Hi, Markus. Welcome back. How was your stay so far in Germany?
It's been incredible. So I got in on Tuesday afternoon and had an enjoyable dinner with Marcus at the hotel, and then haven't seen much of Hamburg outside of through my hotel window and the convention windows, but beautiful sunny day today.
Is your first time in Germany?
No, I came this summer. We spent some time with Marcus and his team. We were in Frankfurt, we were in Berlin, and we were in Munich. We kind of came out to understand the marketplace and determine what the business opportunities are for the team, and then back this week.
That was during the European Championship.
Yes.
So we were even
awesome.
visiting a game in Berlin, Holland against Austria. And since I live in Austria, and Austria won that game, so that was I remember that very well.
Yeah, absolutely. It was my first time seeing a international soccer match.
Really?
Outside of the United States, and the experience was just incredible. The fandom, the pageantry, the excitement around the game, and it was a high scoring game, right?
Yeah, I think it was 3-2 for Austria.
It was, yes, indeed.
Yeah.
So what is the difference between football in Germany, visiting the European Championship, and a home match of the Orlando Magic?
You know, I've talked to some people about this. What I've noticed culturally is the European fans are part of the game experience, right? In the United States, oftentimes fans react to the performance on the court or on the pitch. Here, the performance comes from the fans and inspires the players. So it's a little bit of a reverse. I feel like, you know, a great dunk, a great goal, those types of things fans react to in the United States, whereas here, it's almost the fans inspire the players themselves.
Yeah, indeed. When I visited the NFL Munich game, for example, the players reacted like, what are they doing? Why are they shouting?
Right.
Because they had the fan chants and
Correct.
singing along the music. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing also maybe the NBA anytime soon here in Germany.
Absolutely.
With a regular game, for example, but we have a lot to talk about. How was Spobis so far for you?
It's been incredible. Got to see a lot of sessions, go to some workshops, and really hear about the business and maybe a little bit of the nuanced differences of business here in Europe. And then I was fortunate to be on a speaking panel myself and talked about kind of the aspirations of the Orlando Magic here in Germany.
What's your role at the Orlando Magic? Maybe just a short
So I'm the
introduction?
chief sales officer, so I oversee all of our revenue producing areas. So ticketing, our premium products, our sponsorship products, our television distribution partners, our retail, so anything that generates money on behalf of the organization.
And how is it about internationalization? Do you also have a department over there? Or is it also your role, the internationalization?
I think it really, that more rolls under our marketing team and the development of our fan base there.
Markus, our listeners know who you are. You're here on a regular basis, I guess for the 35th time or anything like that. But you have a guest today and your partner, because you partnered up with the Orlando Magic. How do you work together and why?
Well, I mean, all of a sudden I came to basketball. You know, my history actually is soccer, and then, you know, I moved on to winter sports and motorsports and all different kind of sports. And then, you know, I met Dennis Schröder, as you know, and so Dennis somehow was my access to basketball. And we also discussed my role at Lead. I'm a shareholder at Lead, and Lead is based in Orlando. So somehow I had a basketball heritage, and I was an investor in Lead, and Lead is innovation partner of the Magic. That's how we met. And then I learned that the magic, which makes sense with 3 German players, want to conquer the German market. So we started discussions about how can we do that together. And then we partnered up, and that's why we are here.
Is it already possible? I'm not sure how this works in the NBA, because in the NFL, for example, they need to have the target market and need to have the allowance of the NFL, of the league, that they can do business over there. How is it in the NBA?
It's a little bit different. So about 5 years ago, right before the pandemic, they expanded our marketing rights. So prior to that, in the United States, most of the sports are similar in that you have a defined marketing territory. So our defined marketing territory is a 150-mile radius around Orlando. And that allows me to use my IP rights and to market in those areas. I certainly can do business with any company, but for instance, I couldn't do a partnership campaign with a partner in New York, for instance, or in Miami. I have to stay within my defined territory. So that was our domestic rules, and that was limited to just what we could do. And the rights associated with the NBA and the teams extended back to the league office for anything overseas. And then about 5 years ago, that changed, and they opened up what they call international team marketing partnership rights. So now we can start to develop team partnerships outside of the United States, and so this is relatively new territory for us. We're not limited where we can go. We're limited in how many partnerships we can do at this time. So we're in a trial period right now that they'll extend those rights in March.
Marcus, you talked about Lead Sports Accelerated a few years ago, started in 2016, 17, around that in Germany, and then moved over to the US to New Orleans? No,
to Lake Nona, which is part of Orlando, actually.
Yeah.
And how did you come to Lead?
So we came connected with Lead. As an organization, we're always looking at innovative opportunities and what's next. But the challenge is our day-to-day business is operating a basketball team and the entertainment that goes along with it. So we didn't necessarily have the bandwidth to go out and seek out new innovative partners. And so when we discovered Lead, it's the best of both worlds, right? So they're identifying and qualifying sports tech startups and companies that could have some applications related to whether it's the business side of basketball or the on-court opportunities. And so when we discovered that, we thought this is a great partnership with us. So we've developed a partnership which is an investment on our part to be a partner of Lead, and Lead in turn is a partner of the Magic. So what we're able to offer them is like almost a real life sandbox. So for some of their companies that they've invested in, we've been able to test some of their products and do some things with them. So it's been extremely successful from that point of view because it gives us visibility into kind of what's coming next.
And you have a direct access to innovation, tech.
Correct.
Any cases you did so far?
So we work with one of their companies, Encore, actually here in Germany. So Encore is a platform that allows us to run a social media campaign and capture first-party data. Right, so I'm sure it's similar here in Germany as it in the U.S. The ownership of data is very important, but it has to be first-party data. Right, so the ability for us to actually own that data allows us to then directly communicate and engage with that consumer. So Encore, we did a test program here in Germany where we ran a sweepstakes, and that sweepstakes winner was an all-expenses-paid trip to Orlando to come see a game and watch the game live. In turn, that consumer provided a certain amount of data and information as part of the qualification of that sweepstakes, and Encore was able to facilitate that for us. And so far, it's been a very good program.
Coming back to the internationalization strategy of Orlando Magic and also maybe of the league, I'm not sure if you can speak on behalf of the league, but is Germany a target market besides the players, the good players on the field, to address for the NBA?
It is. So when you look at kind of the unique aspect of how the NBA and basketball has grown, it's a participatory sport that we've seen a lot of growth, especially in Europe. But unique to some European countries versus others is the adoption and the interest around the NBA is even more strong when there's basketball being played in the country, right? So obviously you have your own German basketball league, you have the Euro League, so there's a number of things that drive local interest in your local teams and the interest around that. And then transferring that to the interest to the NBA is pretty easy once you've established a basketball fan. So for us, we actually did a study and evaluated a number worldwide. We looked at all the different markets, and what came back out of that was Brazil, Puerto Rico, and I know Puerto Rico is part of the United States, but treated internationally. So for Brazil, we have about our largest partner as far as people coming to Orlando to visit on vacation comes out of Brazil. So there's a natural connection to Brazilians coming to Orlando, and they have a strong affinity for basketball as well. Puerto Rico, there's a strong connection. About 30% of our population in Orlando is Hispanic, and the majority of that Hispanic base comes out of Puerto Rico. So there's strong connectivity between Orlando and Puerto Rico. And then as we evaluated Europe, it was Italy, it was Spain, it was France, and it was Germany. Germany, of all those, is the fastest growing market for basketball, right?
In
In the European, as far as fan following, right?
following.
So League Pass, fastest growing marketplace for League Pass. So that's the access to all the games. So more subscribers are growing at a faster pace in Germany than any other market. I think a lot of it, the World Championships, the success of the World Championships has started to gather more and more fans in the marketplace. So when we went into this, we evaluated and said, look, Germany seems to be the right market. What kind of added gas to the fire was when we had 3 German players, right? I like to say that was a business decision. It was not a business decision. It was a basketball decision. The business team obviously benefited from those decisions, and having Mo first, and we got him through a trade, and then Franz, who was picked up as our second pick in the draft. And honestly, with Franz, we didn't know a lot about him on the business side, and we knew Jalen Suggs, because he went to college in the United States, so he was our first pick that year. But Franz has been obviously a superstar in the making and continues to rise. And then this summer we picked up Tristan. And
Tristan is half Brazilian, so
correct.
also for the Brazilian
It kind of
market.
checked 2 boxes for me. It was like Christmas morning. I actually was here with Marcus, right?
Yeah, yes, that's right. And his brother is playing for Bayern Munich basketball, so
Right.
that's ideal, you know. So more authentic the story couldn't be.
Gleich geht's weiter mit dem Podcast. Vorher noch ein Hinweis auf unseren Partner GIPEDO. Gute Neuigkeiten für alle Vereine. Endlich Schluss mit E-Mail-Chaos, Excel-Listen und manuellen Abstimmungen. Denn GIPEDO digitalisiert und automatisiert alle Prozesse in euren Matchday Operations. Von der Werbemittelverwaltung bis zur finalen Ausspielung. Mit GIPEDO spart ihr nicht nur viele Stunden manuelle Arbeit, sondern erschließt auch neue Potenziale. Das GIPEDO Partnerportal gibt beispielsweise Sponsoren direkten Zugriff zur Markenwelt des Clubs, eigener Login, volle Kontrolle über Werbeanimationen, alles zentral und ohne Abstimmungsaufwand. Das steigert Effizienz, verbessert den Service für eure Partner spürbar und sorgt für maximale Flexibilität. Übrigens, 10 Clubs der 1. und 2. Bundesliga setzen bereits auf GIPEDO, darunter auch der amtierende deutsche Meister Bayern 04 Leverkusen. Und die sagen über GIPEDO:
Dadurch sparen wir sowohl auf der Partnerseite als auch auf der Vereinsseite Ressourcen und auch Nerven.
Also, wenn auch ihr eure Matchday Operations effizienter gestalten wollt, dann hört jetzt genau zu, denn exklusiv für Sportsmaniac Podcast-Hörer gibt es die Möglichkeit, GIPEDO 2 Monate lang kostenlos zu testen. Meldet euch einfach bei Trisha Jürgens von GIPEDO mit dem Stichwort Sportsmaniac. Die Kontaktdaten von Trisha und alle Infos findet ihr nochmal in den Shownotes. Und jetzt weiter mit dem Podcast.
Is this also a strategy for you to work together with German sports organizations like Bayern Munich or Alba Berlin, or also football, soccer associations or leagues, teams, whatever? Maybe Markus, from your perspective, because it's your strategy for the Orlando Magic. You know the market better.
Yeah. I think we do things on our own. So we have our own strategy. That's a long-term plan. Internally, we call it Orlandorf. So that's my favorite word, Orlandorf. So that means we are here and we are going to stay. So this is not a short-term activity. I think we stay for many years. And yeah, for sure, we talk with our clubs about what we could do together. But there are also restrictions from the league. So we currently see what we can do, but we are in contact with all the clubs, and for sure it makes sense to have a certain exchange.
And is it also possible for you to generate revenue because you are responsible for bringing in money into the organization? Is it possible to work with sponsors to bring in money? Because as far as I know, the NFL, for example, is restricted to earn money overseas.
Yeah, so we can. And part of the long-term strategy is we need to build that fan base first, right? So we're actively filling that fan base, and we could talk a little bit about some of the strategies there. But building the fan base that then makes sense for them to connect with the fan base is through our corporate partnership. So yes, we're going to have the ability to do that, and we're working on several right now. Nothing that I can announce today, but maybe you'll have me back and I'll tell you a little bit more about some of the ones that we're.
Markus will be here on a regular basis.
There
He
you
can
go.
tell me
exactly.
and bring in the brands. Yeah, it makes totally sense for you to then generate money after you
Of course.
put in so much invest into the new market like Germany. Talking about Franz and Moritz Wagner, did you have the chance to watch the documentary, the German documentary about them?
Unfortunately, no, because it's only distributed in Germany. And so as much
So
as I
far.
tried to be correct, and so we haven't been able to get access to it, although I did get a link to it last night. So I'm hoping tonight when the conference is over, I'll be able to actually watch some of the
Yeah, because it was one of the most watched sports documentaries last year, even though we had a European Championship
Sure.
in Germany. After the World Championship win of Germany, there was kind of a little basketball boom in Germany. Markus, you know the market better in Germany. How is basketball seen from the US on the German market?
Well, you have 8 German players in the NBA currently, and what I learned yesterday actually from Michael is there is a German player in the NBA on a streak for almost 40 years now. So since
Wow.
1985, there's almost at least one German player in the NBA. So that started with Detlef Schrempf and on with Dirk Nowitzki, obviously, and now you have 8 players. And that definitely increased the number of Germans interested in the sport. So now we have 19% of all Germans are fans of basketball. That means 13 million people are fans of the sport. And if you look at the 18 to 29-year-old ones, the percentage is even 23. So you see the numbers getting bigger and bigger. And we want to jump on that development and want to give him even a bigger push. And I'm sure when we talk next time, we hope we have already achieved something of that.
And you have a strategy in place, so you're ready to go. What is your plan to make a regular basketball fan in Germany and Orlando Magic fan? Selling Franz and Moritz shirts?
I think France is number one of the sold jerseys. So that's already the case. Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of ideas. We started with a watch party on December 29th in Munich during a live game on Pro7, which was actually meant to be Moritz Wagner against Dennis Schröder. But then Dennis was traded to the Warriors and Franz got injured.
Correct.
But nevertheless, it was a huge success. And that helped us already increasing our social media followers a lot. And yeah, then we have a lot of ideas for this summer, like clinics, camps, and court refurbishments, and so on, so on. So we have a strategic plan, and stay tuned. What's all coming up?
Is there also a dedicated German social media account, Instagram and so on? Or what's the strategy on this?
Yeah, so we learned, we first tried this in Brazil, and we realized that part of social media, it's not just translation, it's cultural, right? So speaking the culture of Germany was an important part of what we tried to do. And that's very difficult for us to be able to do that from the United States as a non-German. So we hired a local firm to assist us on the social media campaign, because I think there's culturally relevant things that are going on here that we wouldn't necessarily lean into or be aware of back in the States, and vice versa. There's certainly cultural things that we go in the States. So I use an example all the time. In the United States, we're the only country that celebrates Thanksgiving. It's a big holiday in the November timeframe. Some of our social posts around the eating and the festivities that go along with Thanksgiving wouldn't make sense anywhere else in the world, right? Whereas here, you have Oktoberfest or you have other celebrations that are uniquely German, that, again, we're able to lean in and kind of have more of a German perspective on that. So it's successful for us because it's not just about language, it's about culture.
Mm-hmm. Yesterday, you've been here with the NBA on the stage. What does the NBA, the league, has to do in order to support you on your strategies here in Germany?
Yeah, here's the way I believe it is the growing the game of basketball is going to happen from a lot of different factors, right? So the success of the team here in the World Championships, the local leagues and the interest around the local leagues. All those things will gather more and more fans related to their interest in basketball. The most important thing that we saw, and one of the reasons why Germany was important to us, is there is a basketball culture here, right? Kids do play basketball, right? They play in the club system. They can watch their professional players here in Germany and aspire to be like them, or to be NBA players. That's an important part of growing the game of basketball. I'm a big believer that the longest relationship you will have in your life is with your favorite team. And you kind of chuckle, and most people do when I say that, but if you think about it, like, what's your favorite team?
Borussia Dortmund.
Okay.
I'm struggling at the moment.
When did you start rooting for them?
When I was 6 and 7 years old.
Exactly. And chances are you'll be a fan of that club for the rest of your life.
Are very high.
Right?
Yes.
So think about the length of time of the relationship that you'll have rooting for that team. right? It's longer than you may, with your spouse, your family members, whatever. You'll have a relationship with your favorite team. So our belief is to invest in the excitement that a kid brings or a child brings into their favorite team. If I can make a 6 or a 7-year-old a fan of the NBA or of basketball, ultimately the goal is of the Magic. Well, then I have a fan for life. And so I think where the NBA really leans in is distribution of our products so people can watch it on television. The excitement around the World Championship, getting kids to play basketball, right? Whether it's at the school or in a club system or just at the park, those are all the things that lead to somebody being a basketball fan. So that's what I believe the NBA's role is to develop the fan and the excitement around the league. And they've done incredible things around the world on developing that fan base.
And signing big media contracts.
Correct.
For accessibility through linear TV.
Correct.
Streaming.
So that, in my opinion, that's the league's role. What I'm trying to do is within that is I want to find out, that fan that becomes a Magic fan. We have the competitive advantage of obviously having the Wagner brothers and Tristan that naturally is going to make some German kids more aspired to be someone that they can look up to.
And Disney is the biggest partner, right? It's called
Correct.
Orlando Magic because of Disney. And which kid does not love Disney?
Right.
So I see a cartoon incoming with Franz and Moritz and Tristan.
That's a good idea.
That's great.
High production value. No, but maybe the question regarding these 3 players, how do they contribute to your strategy? Are they part of this? Do you ask them, hey, how can you help us? What do you think about this and this? Or do you just do yourself?
It's a little bit of both, right? So it's they're not asking my opinion on how to make a basket. So we leave the basketball to them and let the game speak for itself. But they've been more than willing to kind of lean in. They do a lot of our media availability and interviews to the German press and the German media. When we did the watch party, Franz did a live Zoom pregame into the campaign there. They're always great when we have German tourists or German tour groups or customers coming into town. They're more than happy to spend a few minutes pregame or postgame with them. And then ultimately they have a strong connection back to the country, right? So they spend their summers here and have a long history and relationship with folks here in Germany as well. So it's not something unusual for them.
Thinking about the Paris games we had this year and last year, in Paris, where this year the Victor Wembanyama plays in his home country. Looking at the German market, doesn't it make sense that maybe anytime soon Orlando Magic will play a game in Berlin, an official regular season game with 3 German players on the court?
That would be fantastic. Can you call the league office on our behalf and ask them if we could have a game in Berlin? That would be awesome.
Today here at Spobis, the COO of the Seahawks also said, I will raise my hand if someone asks who wants to play in Germany. But
right.
Do you have a word on this that you can say, hey, we want to?
Yeah. So the history of the Magic, we've played overseas in a number of different markets. We've played in London twice. We've played in Japan. We've played in China. We've played in Brazil. So the league knows that we're very anxious and eager to play internationally, but specifically in the German market.
So looking to the future, Markus, you told me a lot of initiatives you are going to do this summer. For what I really think is great is the grassroots approach, that you build courts, putting the Orlando Magic logo and activation around that makes sense because now you grow the future fans of the Orlando Magic. In the far future, maybe no Franz, no Moritz, and no Tristan will play at the Magic. It's a fast business. Looking at the Luka Doncic trade, for example,
Sure.
or Dennis Schröder trade lately. What will come in the few years? What we can expect from the Orlando Magic in Germany? Are you here to stay, or is it just for the years to come when Franz and Moritz and Tristan play?
I would love Marcus's guidance, but I think we're here to stay. I think, and I've been sharing this as an anecdote. When you look at China, which is a market that the NBA exploded in probably 30 years ago, who the favorite team in China is, right?
I guess the Chicago Bulls.
No, Houston Rockets.
Because of Dennis, I guess he was there as well.
Originally, it
James
was
Harden.
Yao Ming.
Yao Ming, cool. I'm sorry.
Right?
Yeah.
So the first Chinese basketball player to ever play in the NBA. He hasn't played in the NBA for 20 years, but the Houston Rockets are still the favorite team in China because of that original connection. So we were hoping to take advantage of the passion and excitement that fans have around the German players playing for us, but ultimately fall in love with the team, not just the players. And then that builds that long-term fan base. I have to think here there's probably a very strong Dallas Mavs fan base in
because
Germany. Right?
I grew up 50 kilometers from Würzburg, from the hometown of Dirk Nowitzki.
Right.
So I used to visit the home matches of as Oliver Basket's Würzburg, where Dirk did his youth games. So I have a strong connection to Würzburg and also, of course, to Dirk. But I'm not related to the Dallas Mavericks. I don't know why.
No, really.
I love the sports.
Right.
But I have no favorite team until now, of course.
Of course.
Yes. But there are of course, a lot of fans from Dallas Mavericks around here. Toni Kroos, for example,
Sure.
a huge fan.
Yeah, I'd say the other thing that Orlando, or that we feel like we have a competitive advantage, people know what Orlando is, right?
They
may
know
not
Disneyland.
know, right? They may not know it for the Magic, but certainly we have a large contingent of Germans that vacation or holiday in Florida, and so they're coming in. So the interest has continued to grow. We see more and more German visitors that are coming to Orlando to vacation, also now wanting to come to the games, right? And so I think that natural association with fans or tourists coming to Orlando is an advantage for us for sure.
Markus, when will you be happy in 2, 3, 4 years what you have reached together with the Orlando Magic in Germany?
Well, that's a good question. I think sky is the limit. So I really think we have great momentum here. So we had the World Cup win in 23. We had the 3-on-3 win in 24 with the women's team in Paris. We have these 8 German players in the league currently. We have 3 with the Orlando Magic that are totally committed to the German market. And the Magic are well known for their sustainable long-term approach. So they work with the Brazilian market now for more than 10 years. Mm-hmm. And I guess that will be the same with Germany. And yeah, the more fans we can create for the Magic and for the game, the better it is. So we go closer to 1 million, Orlando Magic fans. And I don't want to put a number here, but I think, why should the Magic not as much known as a, premier soccer team in Germany? So I really see there's a lot of potential, and especially we want to grow the sport of basketball with the Magic together. And yeah, that's what we are here for.
Michael, maybe one of the last questions. Are there any other teams in the NBA want to go to Germany or addressing the market, so far?
So I know through a partnership with Sixt. Sixt has a partnership with both the LA Lakers and the Chicago Bulls.
This was negotiated by Sport 5.
Correct. So I don't know particularly like if they've targeted the market or if that was just more opportunistic. I can tell you that our approach has always been we're all in. And so when we go into a marketplace, we don't typically dabble, right? We're going to come in and we're going to be all in. And so this is my second of what I would expect at least quarterly, if not, 6 visits a year where we're spending time getting to know the market and getting to know the customer base. So I think other teams are exploring where they are. You look at Europe, a lot of teams are running to France. The Paris Games there, Wembley, there's a lot of interest around that. But again, we've been very strategic to say what makes sense for the Orlando Magic. And for us, Germany makes sense.
As we have a lot of listeners coming from sports organizations in Germany, Austria and Switzerland as well, but main market is Germany. Also from sponsors, from advertising companies. What's your message maybe from the Orlando Magic to our listeners?
So I would say it's twofold. One is we want to build you as a fan. We want fans of the NBA first and then certainly the Orlando Magic. So hopefully that we're doing the job on the court and kind of leaning into the marketplace to build a fan base here. The second thing is we're open for business, right? So I think we're absolutely looking at ways to partner with brands here that we can help highlight and showcase their brand and the affinity for the NBA and the Orlando Magic. So we're absolutely at the place. I think in the first couple months we were trying to understand the marketplace, and with Marcus's help, we feel like we have a good handle on that. And again, stay tuned. I think we're going to have a few announcements on some partnerships here in the next several weeks.
Marcus, we will do a follow-up on that and talk about that. Thank you very much for your time. Enjoy your sunny day here in Hamburg. And maybe next year at the Spobis, we do a quick follow-up. What happened in this year? How many grounds did you build? How did you earn the first euros or dollars here in Germany? And what are your partners? Thank you very much, Michael Forty, Chief Sales Officer of the Orlando Magic, and Markus Höfel. And we will have a chat anytime soon in the next weeks for our recap.
Thanks, Daniel.
Thank you very much.
Vielen Dank fürs Reinhören. Bist du händeringend auf der Suche nach Verstärkung für dein Unternehmen? Dann können wir dir vielleicht behilflich sein. Wie wäre es, wenn du deine Stellenausschreibung umfangreich über die Kanäle von Sportsmaniac promotest, zum Beispiel hier im Podcast, auf unseren Social-Media-Kanälen oder im Weekly Update-Newsletter? Alle Infos zu den Promotion-Möglichkeiten von Stellenanzeigen findest du auf sportsmaniac.de/Stellenanzeige. Der Sports Maniac Podcast ist eine Produktion von Maniac Studios.